Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another neki broadcast. Sorry I have been casting in such a long time, but now I bring you an absolutely fantastic game between me and Daniel BR. The map is, as far as I can remember, is Den of Onis, and I am a player 1. However, I am Drake, which is one of the weaker faction on this map. And as we are both about to, all of us are about to find out, the matchup is going to be Drake versus Undead. Obviously, I had no idea about that, so I started with a general purpose recruit, which is basically 2 Saurian skirmishers, simply because these are, I think, one of the only units that can do well in these caves. Right, so 2 Saurian skirmishers, good all-round units, quite effective versus pretty much anything. They're not that good, but they're not that bad versus anything really. And of course 2 clashes, because no matter who I'm playing against, it's going to be I'm going to need some tanks, right? So this was basically my, let me see here if I can reset the view so it is point of view. It's going to be full map. Yes, obviously Daniel does not know what I am either, and he is going to go with a standard recruit as well. So Ghost, perfect in those caves. Bat for scouting purposes, and pretty decent in these caves, you know, putting pressure from afar, and of course Poison and a Fighter. So pretty generic, let's say. And now what I am going to do, basically I'm going to use, now it's very important here to talk a bit about these skirmishes. So one of them was quick, I believe this one was quick, and this one was resilient. I wanted initially to send the quick one towards the left, because if I do have a quick skirmisher here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so it's perfect placement here. If it stays on this cave, it can still grab this village, and it can grab it obviously in this way as well. It's 60%. It also has good opening towards this village, can also come around here. So I wanted to send a quick one there, but this would have meant that I would have gotten 1 less village that turn. So I said I'm going to prioritize the village, simply because Drakes have expensive units and they are starved for income in the beginning of the game, and I prioritize that rather than, you know, fiddling about with my skirmishers. And let's see what Daniel did. Really curious. He obviously did not see my faction, but he recruited 3 archers. Why? Because archers are absolutely fantastic versus loyalist, and probably if he's going versus orc, he will never be recruiting archers all game. So he just said, I'm going to recruit 3 archers, simply because they are good all-round units, or simply he felt like archers. Anyway, you do need lots of bones with Undead, and archers are absolutely needed versus Drake, and archers are absolutely needed versus loyalist. And if you fall behind versus these 2 factions, then you're going to play from behind all game, simply because Drakes and loyalists have great mobility. So I would say this is a pretty solid recruit. If you don't know what your opponent is and you do need to recruit lots of meaty units to do a rush at night, I would say archers would be a safe bet. You could say, oh neki, but what if you were orc? Well, if I was orc, game wouldn't have been played yet, so he could have gone into ghosts, adepts would have been fine. Orc versus Undead has a pretty different dynamics, so he was worried about loyalists and Drake, and I fully agree with this recruit, to be honest. Perhaps I would have thrown an adept in there as well, but he felt like getting the bones out of his system, out of the way. Pretty standard, I guess. And now I see that he's Undead, and I start asking about this ladder era. So I have not mentioned this. This is played on ladder era, latest version. So for example, the bats cannot be intelligent, and at the same time my elvish fighters have 30% on water. This would not affect the game at all. And as we know, the leaders, for example 5 movement, this is actually huge, because both Daniel BR and myself have leaders that otherwise would have 6 movement. However, under the ladder era modifications, we both have 5 movement. That means that we are a bit less mobile when defending. So let's see here what happened. So he pushed his units forward, realized I was Drake, and I did not know that. So he is one sneaky undead. He did not recruit. He is banking a bit. I'm not even sure whether he has the gold or not, given this large amount of units. Perhaps not, so I don't want to speak too soon. However, he might have banked a bit here. He might have just put a bit of pressure for show and basically banked so he can recruit for a larger secondary attack. Now, what I am doing, on the other hand, I'm recruiting these burners simply because seeing so many bones, right, it means that I do need the burners. You could say, oh, neki, but skeleton archers are quite good versus burners, right? So because they are cost efficient. No, they are not. During the day, they burn like anything else. Burners are actually fantastic versus skeleton archers during the day, and obviously during the night, because there's always the pressure. Do I throw my skeleton archers too deep into enemy territory because I won't be able to escape the burners? And lucky for me, I do have a quick burner, and I believe another quick burner is coming. Another quick burner is coming, if I remember correctly. So as you can see here, I'm basically fiddling about with this skirmisher. This skirmisher can't really go around. He is not quick, can't really go around, so the ghost can easily block me here from doing any shenanigans. This one, however, is quick, and you can see here how annoying it can be. It can grab this village, it also can grab this village. So basically this skirmisher here is blocking the access to the bat and also putting some pressure. Basically I'm trying to say, look, you can't just simply go to an all-in attack down the middle simply because I will have a skirmisher to grab some villages as retribution. But other than that, I'm trying to build up my my burner numbers, and I banked a bit in the beginning, or I computed my funds in such a way such that now I'm able to recruit burner after burner, and once I am happy with my burner numbers, then I will transition into something else. It's really important versus Undead to recruit these expensive units first, because if you do recruit Drake fighters, which are only 17 gold, and they might seem appealing, right? So there's a lot of archers coming, perhaps fighters would be better. If I saw, for example, 2 adepts, perhaps I would have recruited a fighter instead of 2 burners, a fighter and a burner. But since I'm seeing all these bones, definitely going for the burners. Get them out of the way, because you will be struggling for funds for the rest of the game, and that's your pretty much only option to recruit expensive units in the beginning. And really, they are fantastic. They're very expensive, but they are fantastic units. They deal retaliation no matter what. They are much better than clashes. I think they are much better tanks than clashes, to be honest. I know it sounds a bit silly, but they are, simply because they have that scare effect, right? I'm not going to attack this burner because I'm going to get a lot of retaliation in. Anyway, let's proceed here, see how the game unfolded. So he's blocking me with Ghost, and then pushing his units forward down the middle. And now it's really important how I defend here. Now you see this placement, so the units are not very mobile, and I'm not sure whether he did this on purpose or not, but he does not have a unit on this side. This might have been a mistake, or this might have been simply part of a bigger plan, something like, I'm going to make Neki nervous down the middle, and then I'm going to switch over to this cave. I don't want him to put too much attention on this side, because I do not actually intend to attack down the middle. I intend to switch towards this cave, which is a common strategy on this map. So he might have been playing some mind games, but because he does not have an archer on this side, you see here, he can't really get to this tile. He can't really get to this tile. He only has 2 slots which he can use to perform attacks on my clasher, and my clasher has 42 HP, and these skeleton archers, they deal 7 damage each, so he would need 6 out of 6 versus this clasher. Highly unlikely. So because of this, I'm able to park this clasher in this village and just form some sort of line here, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And again, just scouting a bit with that skirmisher in the cave and trying to be annoying, trying to threaten these villages. I saw this adept, so I don't have many hopes for this skirmisher. He will not do much, but anyway, he is doing enough. At least he's keeping this bat at bay. again, this skirmisher just trying to be pesky. If the ghost comes here, he can still go around. So the ghost is pretty much bound to this village. So it's basically 1 versus 1 on both sides. So the main action, or better said, main tension is down the middle. He can't really attack into this. I mean, if he does go for this burner 45, highly unlikely he will die, highly unlikely he will die. Plus, if he does go for the burner, he will go tons of retail, and then my 2 burners will be able to absolutely eat the skeleton alive. Then he will have wounded units down the middle, behind this forest and behind this cave at first watch. So it's not a position he would like to be in. Therefore, he is doing something here which I can't say I don't agree with, but he basically poked a bit this clasher. Had he gotten 3 out of 3 here, he would have perhaps followed up, but since he did not follow up, then he formed a line here. Well, I don't particularly agree to this skeleton here. Perhaps he could have kept the skeleton back, simply because the skeleton can now become a target. So you can see here 1, 2, 3 2 burners. Okay, 2 burners. But the trick is here, if I do go for the skeleton and it does look juicy, and perhaps this is what his mindset was, perhaps the skeleton was a trap, I would have gone with this burner here, attacked the skeleton, and then exposed my burner to this adept. However, I'm not going to do that. Adepts are the bane of the Drake, right? You should stay away from them, like they are poisoned. So this is not the poison guy, really. I know it says poison there, but it's not really the poison guy. So you should really fear adepts. So, ladies and gentlemen, where were we? We were talking about this ghoul not actually being the most poisonous and the most annoying unit in the game, rather this adept. So again, I think I went with happen here, did I? Yes. So I went with only 1 burner forward, and then that's it. So it was more important not to take damage here, simply because it is second watch. He can't really, I mean, he can deal some serious damage, don't get me wrong. However, if he does miss, it's a 45, it's a resilient burner, right? So, and it's on 40%. I know 40% is not that high. However, if he does miss, this burner will deal a lot of retaliation damage to these archers, and pretty much he will kiss these units goodbye, simply because more and more units are coming. So he does not want to fight into this, right? And also, I don't want to sustain injuries before day arrives, right? So I'm pushing as forward as I can with all my units, making sure that I can catch up to him, but at the same time I'm not really attacking these burners, not even with melee, right? So I'm being very, very careful. As you can see, he took 1 archer here, which I understand the logic behind this. He wants to have a small group of units into the cave, and drakes, as we all know, are not very good in these small skirmishes. They are excellent. They absolutely excel at fighting in a large group of units, because they have this excellent mobility and they can really catch up to their opponents and strike hard and strike fast. However, they're not very good in these, as I said, narrow spaces with very few units and equal numbers. So it remains to be seen here how the game evolved. He decided to move back with absolutely everything he had. However, he did not bring this skeleton archer with the main army. So this means that I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units to worry about. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of my own, 6, because this one is a quick fighter, so he can get into the fight relatively quickly. So I will have 6 units versus 6 units. However, I'm striking first and it's dawn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units that can strike, and they can strike at dawn. Again, remember, Undead is absolutely fantastic with his adepts. However, when dawn comes, adepts become good, and when day comes, adepts become, I would say, weak towards decent. Yeah, so already the balance of power is shifting. So what I had in mind here, and I'm going to play unit by unit, was that it's done. He has a wounded unit on 40%. Plus, I have 3 slots on this archer, and I know it seems like, oh, archers, they should be quite sturdy simply because they do have a lot of resistances. Well, they are deceivingly resistant to attacks, because if you look at it, look at what happened here. I'm moving forward with my clasher, and I am attacking this skeleton archer first. Okay, that is decent damage. So I was not particularly interested in necessarily breaking this. What I was interested in was basically keeping a strong formation, moving as forward as possible, and dealing as much damage as possible. So now, as you can see now, I'll be moving the clasher here, and then this clasher right next to it. Why? Because if I have clasher next to clasher, I mean, obviously these adepts, they're not going to go for the burners because they are going to kill themselves, right? The clashers are going to, the adepts are going to go for the clashers. So if I have clasher next to clasher, imagine an adept and the second adept, so there's only 3 slots on them. So I'm not giving him an opportunity to attack a clasher with an adept and an archer, and another clasher with another adept and another archer. It's a slight difference between placing the clasher here and placing the clasher there, but it goes a long way. So that was my intention here. So I'm going for the attacks. 1, 2, 3. So I hit 3 out of 3. Suddenly I'm planning for finishing off this skeleton archer, right? It's not my fault I hit 3 out of 3. I just wanted a strong position and deal as much damage as possible, right? So although I was pondering killing this archer, now I am absolutely serious about finishing him off. So I'm going to go with this one. Why? Because this one has 5 movement. These two have 6 movement. If I am going to lose a burner, and I might as well, because he might be absolutely annoyed by my attack and he might want to strike back. I know I would. So basically I'm going with this burner simply because if I do lose it, I'm going to lose a slow unit and I'll be keeping my fast burners, right? So I'm going with that. So you can see I'm taking a lot of damage in retaliation. However, this skeleton archer has only 5 hit points left, and now I'm putting the experience into the quick resilient burner. And if I am going to lose yet another burner, I would like to keep my resilient one. So I'm always thinking about what happens if I lose a unit. Nobody is immortal, especially not in Wesnoth. Units will die and they serve a greater purpose, right? So you will have to sacrifice material for positional advantage. So now I'm going on this skeleton. As you can see, the formation in which I'm leaving my units is basically burners forward. Why? Because burners, they deal retaliation no matter what. And I'm going to go for this. So even if I get 2 out of, even if I would have gotten 2 out of 4 here, this fighter would have been completely useless because he would have been left with a mere 3 or 4 hit points. So basically I would have only had to worry about 4 units, and really this skeleton archer is kind of half out of the game, right? So suddenly it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 4, one of which is wounded, right? So plus he can't really properly hit this burner. If he misses with 1 dark adept, it's basically game over, right? So if he gets 2 out of 2 with a dark adept, yes, it might look a bit better, but if he does go with 1 adept and hits only 1 out of 2, it's probably game over. So he won't take this risk, especially since day is coming. So so far 2 units killed on my side. I'm dealing damage to this skeleton archer. Why not? Simply because I'm on 60%. This skeleton archer is not. Was a bit unlucky here, only hit once. And I'm stopping them from advancing, right? And the skeleton archer, no matter what he does, he will still be on 40% next turn. There's no way for him to get on 50%. So from this perspective, this Saurian skirmisher is doing a fantastic job. Also, he can't really move with his bat around, simply because this Saurian skirmisher 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 can grab villages or can support with killing these adepts. So I would say important choice here, keeping the skirmisher in a forward position, although one might think, oh, skeleton archer deals a lot of damage and pierce is not very good versus skeleton archer. I believe this was the right decision, stalling here his advancement into the cave, because this advancement will result in a problem for me. It's obviously it's inevitable, it will happen, however I can delay it, right? And here nothing interesting in the other cave. So he decided, and I don't blame him for that, simply because day is coming, he decided to move back. And I believe here sound settings, that is absolutely blowing my ears off. So I would say here perhaps this would be a bit better. And yes, okay, so let us see here. He's forming some sort of line, however it's a wounded skeleton archer, and he there are 3 slots around it, so he did not place the ghoul here, and I'm a bit surprised with this, right? Simply because a ghoul has more resistance to fire than a skeleton archer, and the ghoul would have had 33 hit points rather than 23. Probably his thought process was, this skeleton archer, because remember skeleton archer was on this village, can't really get far. Therefore, if I put the skeleton archer on 40% and then I put the ghoul on 60%, and then if the ghoul dies, the skeleton archer follows immediately afterwards. So I might as well put the skeleton archer on 60% because it's going to die anyway. However, I'm only going to be losing a skeleton archer rather than a skeleton archer and a ghoul. At least this is what I think his thought process was. Rather than bring 2 ghouls to protect a dying skeleton archer, might as well lose the skeleton archer and maintain a relatively okay position otherwise. So what I decided to do, again, I decided to use the burner, the wounded burner, simply because it can soak up a lot of damage. He has to be careful how he plays anyway, so might as well put more damage into him, no problem. And 2 out of 3, so no matter who attacks next will probably get the kill. And more experience into the resilient burner. There it is. And now already I have 3 kills, so it's already looking absolutely fabulous. I would say this day attack has been absolutely fantastic, but there's no point in being wasteful with my burner. And obviously this is an important strategic location. I do have to grab the village, and it's morning, so I might as well just push forward. I could simply push forward all the way. I could attack with the clasher and with the burner and with the fighter as well, and I could kill 1 more ghoul. Let's see what happened here, but I did not want to risk it. So I did not want to foolishly lose, let's say, my units to lucky dark adepts followed by leader attacks. So I was well happy with 3 units killed and a village, and I said there's no point pushing forward, forcing the issue. If it does want to attack, then so be it. If I think about it now in hindsight, perhaps I could have forced the issue with this ghoul. The problem with that would have been I'm with my back against a cave here, so you can see here 3 movement points. So being with my back against the cave means I can't really retreat, and if I do have wounds, poisonous wounds from these ghouls, and I don't have, my auger is quite far behind, there's no way I would be able to heal them. So from this perspective, it's much better to be safer than sorry, because if he does go ahead and poisons me and hits me with these adepts now, I will be able to retreat relatively quickly, whereas going 1 extra step with my back against this cave, that wouldn't have been a nice sight at all. Anyway, I'm moving this Drake fighter here simply because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? It can put more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Never mind. But it can put pressure here. So if it does decide to throw all his units into the fight, this Drake fighter can backstab that particular village. Anyway, putting more damage here. He's not getting on 60% anytime soon. So might as well stay there and deal some more damage. Remember, I can retreat to this village and heal, whereas he, with his 5 movement points, he in the middle of nowhere, he can't really heal, so he's going to be hurt. He's going to be wounded for the majority of the time. You can see here, not sure about Lizard fighting Archer. Well, anyway, interesting always to see what the observers think. He recruited yet another adept, and I believe that is my cue to leave, simply because I don't look forward to fighting versus a 60% ghoul into leader. And did he recruit another adept? Or I think that adept came from here. I'm not really sure. I should be watching his gold. I'm not really sure whether he's banking or not at this point. However, this was a relatively scary army to fight into at almost dusk, so I decided that was my time to leave. And plus there was mounting pressure on this side and I did not have anything backing me up, so I decided to pull these units and support my Saurian skirmisher. So there it is, 60%, and there it is. This particular quick burner can support relatively quickly. This intelligent quick fighter can come into the fight as well. Another quick burner, so quick units here towards this side. Also slowly healing my units on the left hand side, and you know, preparing to support with my, rather than putting the auger on this side, preparing to support with the auger right here. And I'm really curious, how much gold does Daniel have? 21, so probably he was not banking. And now he's going for it, and he missed. I mean, he was going for 2 out of 2, right? So that was highly unlikely versus 60%. However, I feel that he believes he's behind, and I don't blame him for that. So he is behind. So I feel that he needs to take risks, and this is exactly what he did. And yeah, I am recruiting units here to support this situation on this side. However, there's nothing better for me to do. I mean, attacking centrally at this point is not a wise decision. There are reinforcements coming on the left hand side and on the right hand side, so he has abandoned pressure in the center completely. I mean, you saw what happened last time when he did a central attack. So I think his strategy is quite smart. He's changing things around, right? Only a madman is doing the same thing over and over again, but while expecting different results, right? So he's changing things around, fighting into the caves, and my drakes can't really be in 2 places at once, or can they? So because I do have I did get a good result during my first central attack, and I am 3 units ahead, I can actually keep, I feel, at least this is my mindset at this point, I feel that I can keep up with him in these cave fights. And I'm not going to do some sort of diversion where I abandon the caves and I do an all-in attack down the center. I'm actually going to fight him in the caves, and I am putting my wounded burner there on the village. I'm getting rid of that bat, which took great risks, and now I am 4 units ahead, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, 4 units ahead. However, this skirmisher has, I think, more than fulfilled its purpose, and it's time to him to fall to this archer. However, if this archer does decide to go in versus 60%, I do have backup to finish off the archer. So it's really interesting what is going to happen here. And as you can see, I'm supporting my skirmisher here with healing as well. if the ghost decides to do any shenanigans, I do have my burner here to do some zone of control. So I do have 3 units versus 2 incoming units as far as I know. I hadn't seen this adept yet, so let's see what happens next. So as you can see, he does not go for the skirmisher, so mission accomplished here. Now what I could have done, and probably what I should have done, and what a more conservative player would have done, is basically pull back this skirmisher and replace it with a healthier skirmisher, right? However, if you think about it, this skirmisher, where can it go? It can go nowhere for healing. Probably I should have recruited here instead of a Drake fighter. In hindsight, probably recruiting another healer would have been a great idea, simply because I did see 1 ghoul, 2 ghouls. So 2 healers is not that bad, especially when fighting versus ghouls. Plus they can assist versus these skeleton archers. I know it sounds silly, but actually they do pretty good damage with their impact attacks, melee impact attacks. So they are quite relatively okay versus skeleton archers. You wouldn't expect it, but they are. So you see here, I even have a Saurian augur for this skeleton archer. However, the dark adept changes everything, so I need more muscle into this cave. Anyway, let us see here what happens next. I am putting my fighter centrally. Why? Because he can help in these caves. He can also scout for incoming enemies, and I'm not too worried here. As you can see, so now I'm preparing for a central attack. However, there's a catch, because this central attack can quickly turn into a cave ambush. So I know this here are cave rocks, and drakes do have a 3 movement point penalty. However, it's just 1 penalty and that's it. So if they fly around and then go into this cave, I can still fight back in the cave, especially since there is absolutely no contest middle. I only need to fight with these units here, and behind this pressure to come back like a sneaky banker he is, Daniel BR is basically stacking funds so he can fight when it matters. He can fight when defending, so he's not recruiting anything else. He's just running on smoke and mirrors now, trying to appear very strong when he's actually not. So just look at the amount of units that I have here. So I felt pretty confident, to be honest, perhaps a bit overconfident on this side, because I did keep here for the purpose of optimizing healing. I did keep here an 18 hit point skirmisher, but he only has 1 slot, so why not be greedy, right? This must be really annoying for any player to play against. It's like he's mocking me. He has a wounded skirmisher and he's not going to swap him around with another one simply because he does not want to waste one turn of healing. So Ghoul can cancel that healing. So I think Daniel BR did exactly that. So he went for this burner here, which I don't agree with. He went for this skirmisher, which I do agree with, and he put more pressure here, and suddenly I have a 4-man army coming in this cave. And although this seems like a great reinforcement, a great reinforcement group, most of these units here can barely reach this village. So they were like preparing to have a start for a central attack, a devastating central attack. They weren't really that interested in defending here, if I'm completely honest with you. And Daniel BR called my bluff. However, I think here he was a bit overzealous, because sure, he could have been luckier, yes, but this burner could have hit at the end as well, and he did. And he does have some damage here on his ghost. So this ghost melts to fire, right? Plus I do have the fighter here. Fighter can also deal fire damage. This skirmisher can also do ranged attacks. This one has magic, and he does deal this augur. Although ghost has 70% defense versus cold, the augur does deal 2 damage per hit, so already 6. It's quite scary. So I went for the ghost. Of course, there's nothing else to discuss. So obviously I went for the burner as well. because if I do manage to kill this burner, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4 units versus 2. This one is relatively far away, so can't really, I'm not really sure here what I wanted to do. I think I remember. I wanted to first see how much damage I could get into this ghoul, and as it seems, I wanted one more hit, but of course 3 out of 4 is a bit greedy. However, with this skirmisher dealing only 4 damage and dying in 2 hits, I didn't feel like taking the risk. Also, I didn't feel like just sitting on 40% and just throwing some spears. So instead I said, this ghoul is going to die anyway. He only has 5 hit points. So I might as well, and this skirmisher going back means that some other unit will get to deal damage, right? So I said, look, I'm already ahead, why not be greedy and attack the adept? Just put some damage into that adept. And this is exactly what I did. I basically said, I feel comfortable about this fight. I can commit more units. I have the village here. You don't have the healing. So yeah, as long as you miss a bit with your adepts, I mean, you just don't go 2 out of 2 every time. It should be fine. So this was perhaps me wanting to force Daniel's hand so he can, you know, he can commit more and more and more to this cave. Of course, in the process, I'm also losing units, so this was a risky move. Perhaps was uncalled for. However, he can't, again, remember, he's 3 units behind. He can't sustain fights, both on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. I know I'm Drake, and in theory, I'm not very good at these split fights. However, I do have a considerable unit advantage at this moment in time, and he's fighting so far away from home. Look how close to my keep this group of units is compared to his keep. So he's fighting quite far away from home, so he can't sustain fights on both flanks. So I took advantage of that, and killing the ghost is an absolutely fantastic deal, is a big deal. So 5-0, of course I'm about to lose a unit, and here it's a really interesting situation, because this skirmisher is 31 hit points. So this adept is only dealing 15 times 2, 30. So if this adept gets 4 hits on my skirmisher, he still won't be able to kill the skirmisher, right? So he would need to use both of these units to clear this skirmisher. So this skirmisher, no matter what he does, no matter, you know, within reason, obviously, no matter where the skirmisher is placed, the skirmisher will act as a perfect shield for both of these units. So as long as I move my skirmisher forward, he will not attack these units. So I went for the skirmisher. I went aggressively to attack the adept. It's a shield anyway, no matter what I do. I might as well attack the adept. And this puts a lot of pressure simply because there are more units coming here, and he can't really afford. Here, perhaps I went a bit overboard. Perhaps I could have stopped the skirmisher on this particular side. However, I said, okay, if you're going to go forward with the adept and the archer, you are absolutely going to lose both these units, and I am going to get the village with the skirmisher. So it's basically, even if you kill something, I will be able to reinforce, and I'll be able to kill your units eventually. But the biggest factor the biggest win from this skirmish is that I am getting a village out of this. So exchange, equal exchange, however, I'm getting a village, and that would be the nail in the coffin for Undead. So this is basically here saying, go for these units, I don't care, I'm getting the village. So this is a huge, I want to call it bluff, but an absolutely cheeky move from my side, and it really puts him in a difficult situation. He has to either go for the skirmisher, but then lose the units and eventually the village, or get some good kills, but lose the village immediately and these units shortly afterwards. He does have a wounded adept, remember. Or he, it's just, he retreats, saves the village, but then he admits that he lost the fight in this cave. So those are the options, and I will be playing here a single move. Never mind. So as you can see here, I'm putting a lot of pressure on both sides. I'm basically making sure He's not going to go for the exchange. And here I'm also trying to look strong. However, remember, these adepts, I mean, I thought this fighter here was absolutely fantastic simply because this adept couldn't reach him. However, you will see immediately what happens. You will see the power of adepts, and 2 out of 2 absolutely demolishing this fighter. So he is going to get 2 kills now. It's like a breath of fresh air. However, he still has the problem of this ghoul. There's nowhere for the ghoul to hide, and he does move the ghoul towards the back. Not sure why he didn't go for the forest. Probably he thought, going to run away with the ghoul, I need to be as far away as possible. He was probably planning on retreating with this force. So this tells me here, this ghoul placement tells me I'm planning on retreating. However, I wasn't going to let him, obviously, because fights were going pretty well in the caves as well. Well, here is his win, here is my win, but remember what happened previously. So yeah, he decides to retreat, but remember, retreating means he loses 1 power phase, and he is recruiting these adepts. So he's basically abandoned these 4 units here. Obviously, I don't know it yet, but you know, I know he does not have that many units. You see how I'm bringing absolutely all my forces into the caves, and I'm going for the kill. It's a bit different this time with this skirmisher versus the ghoul, simply because previously I could have lost my skirmisher to the ghoul. Now I think it's impossible to lose it. So I do have a higher chance to kill here, and I'm getting the kill. So it's already 2-1 in this cave, but he's slowly running out of units. I don't really mind using my leader, because he has no reinforcements, he is wounded. So the leader is basically the extra edge I need to finish off these units. And I'm using this fast fighter to scout, and now I realize that most of his units are on this side, so probably there's absolutely nothing here, and I couldn't see any reinforcements with this skirmisher either. So you will see exactly what I'm doing. I'm basically, it's like the wind is blowing towards this side, all my units are going towards that side, threatening these villages, perhaps trying to make him focus here a bit too much. But you can see I can quickly switch over as soon as possible. I don't really even care about this anymore. Honestly, without the ghost, this is nothing. The ghost was the one putting pressure to grab villages. These units will need ages to put any kind of pressure. Remember, they don't have a village here to grab like in this situation. They do have to go all the way, and then they will end up dying. So I'm not really interested in that. So I'm really interested in this area right now. Okay, so what happened next? He keeps recruiting these adepts, which is the way out, definitely. But I feel that already. So 6-3, and it's my turn to attack, and it's morning. I feel that there were so many fights going in my favor that it's already lost at this moment in time. So you see here how these can cover the retreat of these 2 units. There is 1 burner standing, but that's all I need, really. So as long as we exchanged well in this cave and the pressure is gone, I still have the advantage in terms of unit kills, the advantage in terms of experience, and I'm well happy with that. As long as there's no pressure, it means I'm doing the right thing, right? So the only way I could lose as Drake now versus Undead is in these caves, which they are not an issue anymore. Again, he's recruiting these adepts because, well, it's a high risk, high reward situation, and he needs that. Right? He does need that. If all these adepts get lucky, he can basically obliterate my army. However, with this Wounded Adept, even if on 60%, I should be able to kill it. And yeah, of course, I'm cleaning up in the cave first. And I'm not even wasting time here with this Adept. I'm quickly going back. I'll be needing 1, 2, 3 moves to go back, and I will have enough gold to fill all my castle with drakes. And that means that it's not a lot of time wasted with this Drake Warrior, as long as I can recruit all 4 and then make another strong attack. Again, 8-3. This means that I can really be a bit loose in terms of strategy here, and I can miss 4 out of 4. However, there's no reason for me to be mad here. I mean, I knew there was this risk, so I took this risk. So it's the Adept is going to survive, unfortunately, and this might cause trouble. So I've used 3 units without achieving anything major, but it is still day, and now I feel a bit better about my odds. I mean, if he does use his leader, he will need several turns to come back, and there's no bat, there's no ghost to backstab me. I'm really scared about these backstabbing moves where a village is grabbed and then you need a million turns to get it back. And now it's basically what you see is what you get, and even if we exchange relatively equally, perhaps maybe a bit slightly in his favor, then I'm not too worried, really. And remember, adepts don't deal that much damage in the middle of the day anyway, so I did go here for trying to get as many kills as possible. I did not care about this quick fighter that much anymore, so burners are more important for his leader. Probably I should have used something else in hindsight, but I don't think it mattered that much. And you will see here again, the only way I could lose this game is if I get a backstabbing unit on the left hand side and I made sure nothing is coming. It's more important than supporting this army here. And in terms of army, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm well happy with my chances. At least in theory, I shouldn't die that quickly. Unfortunate that this adept survived, so this might turn to be this might prove to be the turning point in the match, but we shall see relatively soon. And there he goes with his archer again, close to this 60%. I like to go for it. I mean, 4-2 melee impact, it's going to deal a lot of damage. It's not going to be 4-2, it's going to be 5-2 because dusk is coming. So 5-2 plus the bonus for impact, that is going to be 6-2. So 5-2 plus the bonus 6-2. That's a lot of damage. Plus I'm on 60%, he's not, and I'm close to leveling up. I'll take that experience any time of day. And let's see what he did here. He is hitting pretty well. Okay, 2 adepts, that was the optimal scenario, so I did lose 1 unit, and now he does not. So you see, he can't really go for the burners, because if he misses the burner is going to deal a tremendous amount of damage. So he has to go for these clashers or these. Again, this is 60% though. 2 out of 5. He needs 2 out of 2 here. He absolutely needs it. He needs to clear that unit, and this is game, ladies and gentlemen. I knew when he missed this skirmisher, I knew this was game. So I only lost 1 unit, and then it was my turn to attack. So, okay, there's another unit coming, and you might be tempted to think, well, that's great, but it's not that great simply because I can reach it relatively easily. So going back for the recruits. So 1 adept down. second adept down, and okay, if the third adept goes down, I was basically forced to use this burner. Initially I was planning to take this burner in the back to get some more villages, right? But since I failed to kill this adept, I was forced to go for it, and I was forced to use the ranged simply because I wanted to make sure I killed it. So I killed 3 adepts, which is already making my attack worth it. So 12-4, and I have a village which he needs to waste a move to get. So 1 2 3 4 versus 1 2 3 4 5 6, 4 versus 6. Ideally he shouldn't kill more than 2 units, perhaps 3 if he's lucky. So this is converging towards an equal exchange, which is by far in my favor. I do have reinforcements coming, and I do have lots of reinforcements coming, and this should be, no matter how, no matter what, I should come back on top for a longer game. It will definitely go in my favor. And look how good Saurian augurs are versus these skeleton archers. It's actually quite interesting. And he's hitting 3 out of 5 here, and now he absolutely needs 2 out of 2. Look at my XP, 29 out of 30. So it's basically killing this Drake burner or GG, and he goes for it, ladies and gentlemen, and he's gonna miss, and that's all she wrote, I'm afraid. And it's going, GG is going to come. Yes, it's here. Probably you can't see because it's only 3 lines of chat displayed, but good game. Yeah, I hope you guys liked it. Perhaps on this map people would prefer to be Undead. I personally think that Undead is currently one of the weakest factions in the game. I would like to be anything but Undead. Perhaps it's just in my mind, but I feel that they can't really rush well during the first night. The bone units, they are deceivingly sturdy, simply because they do have some vulnerabilities that other units don't. So if you somehow manage to recruit versus those vulnerabilities, you can deal much more damage than you could deal versus other factions. And because you can't put real pressure during the first night, you're kind of stuck into a long drawn out game most of the times, where you have less mobility than your opponent. Of course you could say, well, ghosts are very mobile and very annoying to deal with, but ghosts don't work versus all the factions, and knowing my luck, my ghosts die from 2 hits. And when I play versus ghosts, I mean, the enemy ghosts feel like they never die. So it's perhaps my Undead that my ghosts simply die from one mage attack. 3 out of 3, that's it, ghost gone. And I invested lots of time to position that ghost so that the ghost was only reachable from 1 tile, and then it dies, and it's a bit disheartening, to be honest. You don't have a reliable unit. All units can really evaporate with Undead unless you recruit lots of ghouls. But then again, ghouls, like assassins, they are really difficult to use. It just feels that whatever you use them for, they are going to get a lot of damage back. You can't really use them offensively. It's really difficult, and they don't have marksmanship like assassins do. They really don't have anything. They kind of are tanks, but not that good tanks as compared to clashes that also deal damage. So I feel that overall Undead is really weak, unless you get a map where bats shine, and you get a good faction where ghosts can be really useful, and ghosts cannot die in 1 hit. Anyway, enough rambling about Undead. So I know lots of people prefer to be Undead versus Drake, and lots of people would absolutely love it to be Undead versus Drake on this map. If you're interested how to play Drake versus Undead on this particular map, there you have it. I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, liked it, and I shall see you next time.